The world today is a nightmare, and believe me, it's only going to get worse. You, exposed to the constant manipulative lies of the media, combined with the calculated idiocy of social media, likely find yourself in a mindset of stress and discomfort. It's easy to get consumed by the chaos that surrounds us, until all the optimism, stability and creativity that lies within us has been all but burned alive. It is, however, a fact that you, as a human, are likely to make your worst decisions when in an emotional state. Decisions that you may later go on to regret. Rather than be willingly consumed by the raging inferno of modern life, sometimes it's best to zone out, unplug from the matrix, and allow yourself to be immersed elsewhere. It isn't about distraction, or to pretend that the evil times we inhabit aren't happening, but temporarily allowing your mind a moment of solace, to self-repair from the repeated barraged assaults it suffers daily, so that you may return in a more powerful, wise, and revitalized state. Sometimes it's good to just take a break, in a simulation, perhaps. And for the last week and a half, I have found myself lost in such a simulation called Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a game that's been out since 2016, and unless you've been living under a rock for the past few years, it's highly likely you've at least heard of it at some point. I think it's best summarised by the quote, "Appearances can be deceiving." Much like how on the outside I look like an innocent and polite man, while on the inside being a genocidal maniac who if given the opportunity would end our species in seconds, this game may look like some sort of lost and found GBA game from 2002, but believe me, there's plenty more here to see than what originally meets the eye. So what is it then? The game begins with you making your character, and I have to say, I quite like the customization on offer here. You can make your skin green or blue, and there's over 100 different types of shirts. But weirdly enough, there's only like 5 pairs of pants for some reason. Regardless, I don't know about you, but I'm quite pleased with the result. After you're done making your character, you have a chat with your grandfather, and on his deathbed, he hands you a sealed envelope, but tells you to only open it when life starts to get you down. Fast forward many years later, and you find yourself working in a shitty corporate office next to a sheriff on crack. Realising that your life sucks, you decide to finally open the letter, only to realise you've inherited a farm. I mean, he could have told you this before you ended up in the situation you're in to begin with, but there you go. So you resign and take a bus to Stardew Valley, and by the way, see that line there? I legitimately thought that my monitor had a row of dead pixels when I first played this, and I absolutely shit myself, so please fix this for the love of all that is holy. But anyway, so you resign and take the bus to Stardew Valley, where your new farm awaits. Only downside is, upon arrival, you realise it's a pile of shit, and thus the real game begins. From here on, you're essentially free to do as you please. You can plant some crops, chop down some trees, or maybe venture out to town and do some shopping. Perhaps say hello to your new neighbours. Oh look, there's someone. Let's introduce ourselves. The game can function essentially like a sandbox from here on out if you want. You can build up your farm by getting furniture or some animals, or maybe hang out with your neighbours for as long as you please. But for those like myself who are a bit more goal orientated, there's the community centre. Early on you're introduced to this derelict building that's in tatters, and you have the option to repair it if you so please. But it won't be easy. In order to repair it, you're going to have to do borderline everything the game has to offer. Harvest crops, forage supplies, get fish, I mean you name it, this place needs it. And it's actually quite genius. Rather than having a linear set of quests with objectives, the game gives you every quest right at the start via this centre, and lets you pick and choose when and how you want to go about completing them in your own time, without barricading your progress for anything else in the game. A kind of sandbox game, but with optional no-pressure objectives. That's a way to please everyone, isn't it? And yeah, for the most part, this is pretty much the game. There's not much else to say here, honestly, but that's quite the genius of it. You are introduced to almost everything the game has to offer within the first hour of play. Well, at least mechanically anyway. Yet you'll still find yourself playing for hours on end because it all feels so bloody rewarding. It feels great to get up and see your crops growing day by day so you can sell the results for huge profits, Fishing, if not frustrating to begin with, ends up being remarkably addicting once you master it, and believe me, I know. Mining, as opposed to being a boring slog like in most games, feels like an actual adventure with its randomly generated caves and difficult enemies. It all just feels good. This is a feel-good game. That's why I'm bloody showing it to you. Do you get it yet? Feel good? Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a tour of my farm, starting with my fantastic house. As you can see, it's wonderful. Here we have a kitchen where I never make food, but look, there's a great chair here that I can sit on while I eat oxygen. Wonderful. Oh, look at this, look at this. This is a green crystal. And look, when I click it, it makes noise. Who needs GarageBand anyway? And this fat fuck right here was given to me by someone, so I just thought I'd put him here because, man, he looks cool. I don't know what's going on with this wallpaper, by the way, so don't ask. Yes, and in here we have my mainstream media room. Here I can watch all of the major news organisations at the same time, so that I can keep track of everything our psychopath politicians say. Oh, and how long I'm going to be in lockdown for today. Oh, I sure am grateful for living in the free world. Yay! And yeah, that's about it for this place. On the outside here we have my guards, a cane, Christmas tree. Oh, and this here is where I keep my chickens, ducks and rabbits. Look at them all, so happy to see me. If I have one big complaint about this game though, it's that if an animal is near an item, you're never picking that item up again. I mean, just come on, move. Move. Here we have my cows, goat, pigs, also very happy. I mean, yeah, look, it's not the greatest of farms. Perhaps you expected something a bit more groovy from a man of style like myself, but hey, it gets the job done, and I like it. I'll be honest, I heard about this game back when it came out, and held off on getting it until I saw it on sale one day and just thought, fuck it. I grew out of games like Animal Crossing and never played the original Harvest Moon games that this is based on, and thus figured that I probably wouldn't like it. You know, like it would be some sort of Nintendo game where it sort of dumbs itself down to appeal to a mass audience. But it isn't really like that at all. The game is mechanically advanced enough to be difficult, yet not advanced enough to be overwhelming for those unfamiliar with games. It tackles mature themes like addiction and hopelessness, but isn't overtly preachy or depressing, as many indie games tend to be. The world of Stardew Valley surprised me, truth be told. It's somehow balanced enough to appeal to almost every person in some way without revolting others. Even simple shit like the arcade games you can play in the pub are better than 90% of real games that come out today, and that's saying something. Something I've noticed about Stardew Valley is that it's incredibly popular with people particularly in their late 20s and early 30s, and I think that's because this game essentially encapsulates everything that the average person at that point in their life is denied. A stable place to live that they actually own, a concrete way to earn a living and the freedom to be self-employed. Stardew Valley simulates all of these denied desires extremely well, whereas of course reality does not, making such a simulation all too bittersweet. To prove my point, take a look at this house that I found in London. I want you to have a guess how much it's worth. Here is the living room, not bad, a bit cramped, but sure. The kitchen? Looks more like a college corridor, but alright. Go on then, how much are you guessing? Folks, the asking price for this house is a whopping £1.2 million, or around 1.5 million US dollars. Oh, and you're not getting all of this, of course. No, just this. This is not a joke. Now, considering that the average wage in the UK is around £28,000 per annum, if you spent half of your money every year on paying off a mortgage for this house, it would take 90 years for you to own it. 90 years! Which means if you started working at 20, you'd own this property when you're 110. Amazing times we live in. Stardew Valley provides people with feelings of power and freedom that they likely haven't felt before. In our world, we constantly perpetuate the lie that a college education is the only way to get what you want, locking people's life paths down a set linear road, whereby many only realise when it's too late the mistake they have made. Yet another victim of a culture that doesn't value art, morals or character, but wealth, status and volume. But in Stardew Valley, players can do as they so please to progress. One can farm, fish, mine, forage. The methodology to formulate success is not linear in the slightest, nor is it ever a requirement even. Stardew Valley reminds its players subtly what humans have truly cared about for millennia: the freedom to live your own life, independent of expectation, to do what you want, when you want, and how you want, but in a positive manner. Not only that, but there's also the sense of community. Today, people move around often and barely get to know or care about their neighbours, unless it's for a negative reason. It's quite fascinating how one can live in a crowded city for all of their life, and yet still walk amongst the crowds not knowing anyone. Today, the most lonely people are not in places whereby there aren't enough people, but too many. Stardew Valley doesn't take place in a vast, huge open-world city with hundreds or thousands of nameless and forgettable NPCs, but a small town with only a few handful. As a result, players will slowly start to form meaningful bonds and memories with said NPCs, learning their story, personality, likes and dislikes, until they start to value them and feel as if this is where they belong. You can even pull a honeypop and get in relations with your neighbours, or multiple of them. And yes, I tried. I'm glad this game was inclusive for my good friend Skippy. Utah State represent, woo! The more you get to know someone, you get cutscenes which provide more context to their personality, again making the world feel more believable. Time is also a big deal in Stardew Valley. The game has a real season system. Spring, summer, autumn and winter are all present and change the game accordingly as one would expect. And yes, Americans, it is autumn, not fall. What the fuck is fall? Fall? Is spring called rise? No, it's called fucking spring. If you call autumn fall, you need to get your fucking head checked, mate. Honestly, very little annoys me, but Americanisms seriously piss me off. Get with it, for fuck's sake. Fall. Fall? Fuck off, fall. Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, there's seasons, a day-night cycle, and if you stay up too late you collapse and will probably end up getting robbed in your sleep. Quite accurate for the UK, honestly. Maybe Stardew was based here. There's only so much you can do in a day, as you get exhausted if you do too much, which is annoying as shit at the start, honestly, but it gets better the more you progress. I quite like how every few days there's a special event that happens. You know how back in the day Christmas was when you spent time with your family, as opposed to the hollow shell it is today for most people, whereby it's just a time for corporations to peddle them shit they don't need? Yeah, it's kinda like that. All of the people of the town, and sometimes outsiders, get together and have a good time. And yeah, though after the first time it gets repetitive, it is quite fun, for the first time at least. Something that baffles me about Stardew Valley is that it was made by one man. One man! All the writing, graphics, music, story, everything except the netcode. One man. I mean, that is just unbelievable. And he's not even a beast. The game and the developer are extremely respectable, at least in my view. But holy shit, this game's community is fucking rancid. You think the boomers of World of Warcraft or the ragers of League of Legends were bad? Oh, buddy, you ain't seen anything yet. I went to the Stardew Valley subreddit to see what other people thought about the game, and holy fuck, I wish I never did. It's a mix of radical hard left political posts and posers trying to look cool. It's day one of winter in my first year, and I'm obsessed. Like everything I become obsessed with, I make an insane amount of lists and notes. Are you taking the piss? Your handwriting looks like an Apple Pages font, for crying out loud. Also, what the hell are you making a list for? Just press escape. The list is right there. It's built into the bloody game. Oh, Jesus.
Shed says gay rights.
The shed? The shed? The shed said? The shed said that? I don't. Oh.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? I'm gonna make them give back our past.
Yeah, seriously, avoid this game's community like the plague. Fortunately, it's a single player / co-op game, so it's totally avoidable, but holy shit, give me a break. I don't understand why people needlessly politicize places that don't need to be politicized. It's like if I played Mario Kart and then went to the Mario Kart subreddit, only to be greeted with posts like, Mario demands free speech, or Peach is against abortion. Like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Never underestimate the stupidity of Reddit mods when it comes to taking control of literally anything in order to push their own personal agendas.
But Alex, you've been making subtle political points throughout this entire production.
No? Regardless, overall I found myself impressed and immersed in Stardew Valley for a week and a half. And to put it as simply as I can, it made me happy. And frankly, what more can you ask for? You can wait until the game is on sale to buy it if you want, but honestly, it's well worth it even at full price. If not for anything else, to support the one-man developer army who made it. I have to say, by the way, I find it quite humorous how this game is supported on Windows, Mac and Linux, and yet big AAA companies can never be bothered to port to the latter too. Just unbelievable. If you're a guy and have a girlfriend, which is unlikely if you've made it this far in any of my videos, it's probably a great gift for them, even if they don't usually play games. Mine played it for well over 100 hours, so yeah, there you go. Check it out and see for yourself.